The most surprising thing for everybody that's watching and following this journey is I'm not a professional athlete and we've got here after 5 months. Not everybody gets this point in this time frame. Why do you think that I have been able to do so?
ACL rehab is not a death sentence at all, and we can be getting back to sport within 6 months or even just after. So our rehab, as we said, has not been perfect at all. Things have gone wrong. Hamstrings have flared up, knees have flared up, swelling hasn't gone away. But we're still here 5 months later.
Wonderful. All right, squeeze both quads. Nice. Let's get a good feel of them.
I was mad that this one was bigger now, wasn't it?
Yeah, fuck nice. Really. It just wants to fight me a little bit. Fully. Good, roll over onto your front. Pull your heels into your butt. Oh, excellent. Yeah, a little bit pinchy. Love it, well done, good. Right, set up onto that for me. I'll wrap up both knees. We'll just punch a bit of pressure and a bit of fluid into your knees and give them the WD-40 treatment. Just hit these ones for me. So come in here, you're gonna hang back. So get your feet in almost on this, in line with that. Hang back, arms straight, and just sit back and just ride the knees forward and back. So you get a little bit of a hamstring, a lot of quad, and almost like a little bit of a hinge on the way back.
Do one more.
And then as you come out of it, bum back, a little bit of a hamstring stretch.
Yeah.
Hips come through, and you're just gonna ride your way forward like that, okay? Almost like a C. Drive a little bit closer and a little bit narrower with the feet. Make sure make sure the toes are pointing straight forward. Perfect.
Squat down.
Beautiful, and then come back, get a bit of load into hammy, squat down, ride it forward, slower. So focus on the quality and the time you spend down there. You're trying to drive a bit of flexion, get comfortable in deeper knee flexion angles, more quad activation, and then get those hamstrings working on the way up. And your job is just to set as low as you feel comfortable into that knee. So push forward, drive the pressure into the knee. Let's go through the usual stuff. So we've pumped a bit of extra work into the quad. We've got a bit of extension, bit of flexion. Let's get the flight out of the system and try and just work on our lower back, because if we're going to have any hamstring problems, it's probably going to be derived from back and hips. If there's one side in particular that's really tight, you can just lift your knee up a little higher and just pull down on it with your hand. Then grab your shins or clasp your hands over your shins and just rock for 30 seconds. And just breathe deep throughout it so your nervous system just releases off a little bit and you're not in that kind of feeling of like new environment, something new coming up, stressy. We want to kind of relax and loosen off into it. Next one, so here, and just out straight and get a nice little bit. Talk to me about any tension through one side or the other, or you feel exactly the same?
Left side of my torso felt more tension there, but...
How's this through the hammies? Fine? It looks fine. And then go with a split. Go steady to begin with. So right side needs a little bit of extra work on that external rotation. This is the beauty of this whole protocol. I can just go dum 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 done, and then we'll deal with it. Figure 4, out and get a nice, and just spend a bit of time there and then come back out of it. Same thing on the other side. And give us a little straight leg raise on her. So one leg bent, toes up so that the nerve or there's tension in the leg, and just up to wherever you can get. And then just for 10 reps, just gradually increase the speed of it. Cool, right, hit this one for me. Go on to all fours. I'll give you a pad for this. And then just hit these ones. Just push your hips back a little bit so you get back into actually get into your hips a little more. So even more. There, now go from there. I'm gonna throw you a pad for the next bit just because it can irritate knees. Chuck that under both knees. Then hit this one. Hit your little frog stretch. And just work back into this posterior hip and see if we can open up some space. This typically is very, very tight for anybody. So we're trying to get feet outside of line of knees. So they have to be out a bit wider. Don't drag yourself back here. Just be very careful with it. And you'll feel this in the backs of your hips. In that position where you're like, fucking hell, just breathe. So take a big deep inhale through your nose and then let the tension out by breathing out. And as you breathe out through your mouth, you can sit back 0.5 centimetre. Being a coach and rehabbing has so many positives to it, but it also makes you oftentimes hyper aware to the point where it flicks over into the, I'm obsessing about nothing here, I'm a human, and there's movement. When you're so aware of what's going on, it's always a bit like, fuck, am I all right here, am I not? Big circle draws, and just let me see this hip extension in action. Dig your toes into the ground for me, and just kick up the sky. And draw the biggest circle you've got in you. You're only going as far on the way up as this allows, yeah? So there's probably it. Draw as big as you can, big, perfect. And be really strict with what's happening at your lower back. What side feels inhibited, if any, or limited?
Left feels worse.
Your leg feels tighter and sticky. What typically happens is when you are guarded on one side, so by nature of an ACL, you're going to be guarded and stiffer. So the opposite side has to set into more flexion. It has to find more degrees of freedom to make up for the lack. And then you end up getting tight around your, very commonly, QL, deep hip rotators. Quad typically feels a bit tighter because often it does a lot more pushing. The whole purpose of that compass thing is to just target the specifics. I'm going to just hit the back of this capsule. So walk it forward into a split RDL. So yeah, decent bit of tension on her, probably a bit more. Yep, okay, and then just drop yourself into the nicest hinge you've got and really make sure that bum's moving back.
Single leg, yeah.
Single leg, yeah. You could probably give yourself more aid with your left leg further back. So once you're getting this big pull and feel like your bum's big, I want you to actually just reach across your body as far as you can and sit into that. And you'll get a little bit of rotation across those hamstrings that you might feel as well. And now go for that big reach. So once you're in there and you think it's big, reach and then reach again. And then you're not done, reach even more, so rotate the right shoulder under, and then come through and pull your right shoulder back like you were starting a lawnmower, which I've never done in my entire life. Let's deal with ankles and hammies. And all you can do is just put as much pressure through it as you feel comfortable, and you're gonna hold there for 10 seconds. That should be 3 big deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth, and put even more pressure down and through the knee, or down through the quad. Drive a little bit more range in there. Good. If you want to live a normal life and rehab your ACL in a year, well then your sessions can be an hour. And you can do it 3 times a week. You're going to feel a bit shitter for quite a long time, but it's going to take you a year. Or do you want to do it in 6 months? Well, if you want to do it in 6 months and everybody wants a quick fix, well, you best be committed for having 2 to 3 hours 3 times a week at least. 100%. Because you're essentially saying, I want to be a professional at the absolute top of their game.
You can't expect to have better outcomes than everybody else if you don't do...
No, something different, yeah. So you're going to drop her out, good, bring her back in. But the rule is, so it's always down, up, side, back to top, down, up, side. The rule is you're not allowed to lose it. So you're not allowed to lose everything to the side. You've got to stay fairly neutral. So it's all coming from the hip. You feel that you have to work a little harder through the opposite side to hold on to it. Even this in itself, even though it's just a mobility drill, like that's a quality, like the 3D pelvis and the ability to control one side by having control of the other side. Keeping some tension through your trunk as well when you do it. If you're loose through the trunk, you end up being loose through that side of the pelvis. What I do want though is I want you to find absolute extreme ranges here, and then you're going to lead this with the bum and the hamstrings and the abs. Yes, keep coming. So when you think you're done, you've still got another centimetre. Right, leg extension time. There'll be the remnants there'll be like a little bit of extra fatigue and work done in one side, and then the opposite side probably, if the ab is holding on, that's a good thing. Like we want that little sling to be working, but if we're holding on through the groin itself, it probably means that we're probably not quite as active or stable through that side of the trunk. It's for the whole groin rehab piece. If I dump into here and get groin pain, it's probably because I'm not very active and good at resisting that compression with my ab on the other side, and then I get this isolated overload in the groin. I've started to figure out there's layers of people that need different things. There are people with massive aspirations, whether or not they are going to achieve them or not, but that needs individual care and attention. You've got people who want to train really hard, who are diligent and care, but are very happy doing it online. And then you've got the people who genuinely don't want any feedback, they just want the stability of a program. So you've got 3 different layers there. So when I watch your accelerate, this is really interesting. So it just shows you the underpinning qualities that are linked to how you move. So when I watch you accelerate, your hip extension on your right side is a little limited, and you see that in toe-off distance. With your left side is great, you create these long, big shapes. When we look at the physical underpinnings using valve, it tells us exactly the same story. We're 15% off, and that when I visually watch you, I would say, we're about 15% off there.
So did I beat the right there and the left in the first goal?
Yeah, you smashed it,
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that also shows us, like, once you've had a big traumatic injury, what you often think and your body gives you feedback is very often pretty disrupted. Like, we don't actually know. So this is why this stuff's important.
I feel like we go more than that on the left. Did you see that Limerick goalkeeper? Wade, he came back in 5 months.
Yeah, that's fine. So 5 months of even for, like, if you gave me a pro and gave me everything, 5 months.
But I think what they did, well, this is just what the media have been saying, given conversations with their S&C staff.
They didn't bother with really return to run at all.
Oh, really?
They just said, oh, he's not really going to run. Let's just train him to jump and land and decelerate and move laterally.
There's an argument for that, right?
And well, he played.
Like if that's your job, why do you need to
Yeah.
add another layer of component training that you're not going to use?
What happened in the game though in one instance was a player broke through one-on-one and he had to come out of the goal, and everybody was saying like he just didn't look comfortable sprinting out.
No shit.
Yeah.
Like there's only a limit to what biology can tolerate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was his first game as well, so.
Yeah, too right. People that don't know are the harshest critics, mate.
Exactly. No, but what they were saying was they were still saying it was amazing, but like they were kind of questioning
It's pretty incredible.
whether it was safe. Do you know, because if he did have to come out of the goal and he wasn't capable of it, where they put him on.
I reckon if you gave me somebody who had a patella, not hamstring, patella graft, and you gave me everything I needed from a recovery and nutrition protocol, I reckon I could, and it was somebody with like unlimited time,
Yeah.
I reckon I could get you back. And also you're a professional athlete. Give me 5.5 months, I reckon I can get you back to playing a competitive, like professional level team sport game.
Yeah. I think a lot of people with patella grafts, especially female athletes, when they feel the pain on the ISO, they're like, oh no, I need to stop now.
But it's just being educated and understanding like what's okay to work through and what is not. What's going to have a negative consequence versus what's actually going to have a long-term chronic positive effect.
Yeah. And it's knowing the difference between like a mechanical issue in your knee and pain on like the outer kind of joint versus pain in that localized point in your patella. Like they took a piece of your patella away, it's not going to feel good.
Yeah, so
That's sore now in my knee.
feel it straight away.
Yeah. It's just the shin roll, like that position.
So lift the shin up a bit higher because we'll never be there. Good. There. Just hold that position. That's it. That's all it is. So I want you to imagine there was a line coming out of each of these cones.
Yeah.
So naturally, if you rip your foot back to white, it's a shorter step length than if it was to yellow. Your job is to, I still want you feeling like you launch out as aggressively as you can, but to shorten your stride, you're going to have to angle up. Yeah, and to angle up means that you're not going to hit the floor with such a flexed knee. That's going to take a little bit of stress off. Okay, so a little higher on the launch angle, let your chest and eye line rise and rip back to the line. Yep, just finish it off, so make sure you do 2 full steps, so it's out, it's 1, 2, and then you can finish.
And I can do that. A bit angry on the knee on the right step axle only.
It's a pretty aggressive contact, isn't it? Left foot start. Switch back onto the line, do it twice. Yeah, very good.
Really forgot the reset.
Yeah.
Still feels a bit blunt on the right.
It's gonna. We've got a 30% or 25% jump deficit.
Yeah.
And you've got a, let's call it 25% reactive deficit as well.
Yeah.
It's not just going to miraculously turn around in an ACL. All we're doing is patterning the tissues and conditioning the tissues to be able to tolerate. And over the next 4 to 6 weeks, that stuff will feel really sharp. Push out, hit back, push out. There you go, lovely. That's a better rep. I don't know how it felt, but that's a better rep.
That was the best.
Yeah. Very good.
I found a good chin angle and projected my hip over it.
Cool. All right, so next set, I want you launching out and getting to the yellow. So you've still got to switch back, which means so I'll call you on reps passed versus reps failed.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to 10 reps passed. So if your foot is landing and falling down and forwards into the cone, it's a fail. So you have to launch, because that gives you the distance to then rip back. Okay? Violence out of it. Yes, there you go. That looks miles better. Big push, out and open. There you go. Yeah. That's you training decelerative qualities. Yeah. Rather than just going through the motion.
Yeah. Axle and maximally still.
As hard as you can.
Cool. Yellow, white, yellow, white.
Yeah. So this one's just go yellow. Let's just pre-call it to begin with. You've got to launch out, hit back, fully commit to the ACL. Yep. Not quite. Yeah. It wasn't bad. but you didn't fully halt your momentum.
No.
Yeah, so I want you to feel like, if we're playing rugby,
Yeah.
I want you to feel like you fix me for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
If you almost start to curve, I just come across.
That's what I did. I did a curve.
Put the brake almost to the point where you're not a million miles away from a stop.
Yeah.
Okay? Go yellow again. Fix me up. Attack hard. Come on. Attack, attack, attack. Beautiful. Better
Left
work.
him in a bit.
Better work.
Better though, yeah.
Oh mate, if all we can ask is every rep gets a bit better.
Yeah.
Give yourself a minute. You've probably done more high intensity work here than you've done in the past 6 months.
Yeah,
You've done it
probably.
inside 10 minutes. Do you know what I'm gonna do instead?
Huh.
Fix me. I'm gonna say nothing. You're gonna accelerate as hard as you like. Your job is to just accelerate really hard to me and decelerate so you feel in control.
Yeah.
I will either do this
Yeah.
or I'll either do this.
And I go away from you.
And you go away from me. Hit it hard. Hit it hard. Yep. When you're given that much time, you're always going to you'll take the shortest route.
Yeah.
Which is just V cut from there.
Yeah.
I want you to come to me, so I'll leave it later.
Yeah.
You got one more and then you got an enforced break. Get to me. Oh, there's the brains inhibition playing. Your brain will naturally decide, nope, I'm going the way that I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you tell it, and that's part of our job is
Yeah.
to give you enough good progressions that you can gradually feel comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. So the cues are, you have to square me up.
Yeah.
Okay? Full beams to yellow, come on. Attack it, attack it. Ah! Not quite, bit trunky. Yeah, bit step. So the amount of steps good.
Yeah.
Decrease your momentum, set yourself low.
Yeah.
But then when you make that step, I want you still making eyes on me.
Yeah.
So that it keeps you up and it doesn't fold you.
We are finished day 1 of training. I'm absolutely shattered. I'd say we were training for 3.5 hours. We got through loads of work. We did do testing initially and an assessment of my knee and basically my whole chain, really. And Alan was really, really positive about everything that he saw, to be honest. We moved out onto the pitch. After that, we pushed some prowlers. We did a good bit of cutting, change of direction, my first efforts at that. Deceleration went to a higher level and a higher intensity than I've faced. We built some change of direction movement skills as well. And we did some reactive change of direction, which is huge to be doing that after 21 weeks or 5 months. Alan was really impressed with all that kind of stuff. He said, just so you know, that's better than most athletes, like professional athletes, get to after 6 or 7 months. So I'm happy. I'm really happy. He was asking me, was I happy with where I am at the moment? And I've got to say I am. It's really come together in the last couple of weeks after what was a tough week. And that's probably a lesson for a lot of people watching as well. Just because it's a bad day or you've had a couple of consecutive bad days doesn't mean you're doing bad in your rehab. Often you just need to persist with it, stick with it, go back to doing the right things that are likely to lead to better quality outcomes and more preferable outcomes. And then if you do that, then hopefully you'll be standing yourself in good stead in a few weeks' time and you can actually realize all of the hard graft and work that you've done. Got up to some really high quality access of a decent velocity. We couldn't jump and sit down for a chat afterwards because Alan had to head off for a call with a Premier League footballer. But it's great to see him doing so well in terms of business and to have conversations around business and how things are going. And we're all kind of growing together, which is great. And then great to be able to avail of his services as well and guide you guys through this process and avail of his assistance in all this and his expertise. It's been definitely a worthwhile process going through this for me as a practitioner. Although I went through a previous ACL, it wasn't rehabbed or returned to play to the same level whatsoever. I didn't receive the same level of guidance at all. I didn't know as much as I know now. And it just shows you, as he said today, when the person that's rehabbing the injury knows and understands their body a little bit and understands the rehab process and understands how to push to intensity, when to back off, all that kind of crack. And they're being guided by somebody externally that knows what they're doing as well. ACL rehab is not a death sentence at all. and we can be getting back to sport within 6 months or even just after. So our rehab, as we said, has not been perfect at all. Things have gone wrong. Hamstrings have flared up, knees have flared up, swelling hasn't gone away. But we're still here 5 months later, cutting, changing direction, accelerating maximally, and ready to get into some max velocity work tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes, but really positive today.
Jump for height. Come on, get up. Get up. Drop it on you, bend a little bit more if you can. That's a very stiff landing we're getting there. Right, keep that strong, a little taller. 14-4. Come on. Okay, steady seconds. See where we're getting. Not bad, huh? Good. 5, 4, 3, well done. 2, 1. Pick you up. Lovely.
Really good start. Stay with it. Stay with it. Tight pick up. Come on, you got to pick up tight. Different.
We are finished. How do you find the last 2 days, and what were the major findings? Pass it.
Definitely very positive. You're 5 months and 1 weekend. Summary of the 2 days was yesterday was about kind of screening your hips. Inside hips, outside hips, brilliant. Flexion, extension, bit of work to do. We got into acceleration, we got into deceleration. So usually if you've got big gaps around your quad, the deceleration is a big error, like a big problem point for anybody going through ACL rehab. You don't have that inhibition because you've done a really good job of getting your quad strong. Still got a bit to go, but strong enough to tolerate that task. Bit of evasion work, and then today we built up to a bunch of the coordination work to be able to run fast at 85, maybe even touching around about 90%, which is great. Loads of technical changes. But I think the biggest thing out of all of it is you walk in and you present as you do, and you leave 2 days and I can see that you're pretty confident in where you're at and where the progress is kind of taking you. So that's kind of my summary of it. Really enjoyable. Learned lots about how you move as an athlete, which is sometimes hard to get a real finger on when you're doing it online. And I have got so many coaching points for you moving forwards to refine the next 6 weeks to take you to 7 months, and you'll be ready.
The major thing that surprised me was lateral hip, as you said, like abduction and adduction being so strong, but that's testament to the work that we've done. That was probably the most surprising thing in here for me. Out there, that we got up to reactive agility. I didn't expect to get up to reactive agility going by probably a couple of hard weeks that we had. The most surprising thing for everybody that's watching and following this journey is I'm not a professional athlete and we've got here after 5 months. Like you spoke about yesterday, how not everybody gets this point in this time frame. Why do you think that I have been able to do so?
It all depends on your aspirations as a person, not even as an athlete. So if you are willing to commit, let's say 2 to 2.5 hours a day, at least 3 to 4 times a week, the timeline that you're at now is absolutely attainable. There's a lot of work and a lot of diligence that goes into that. You're also a coach, so you know your body really well. We spoke about that yesterday, about no rehab journey is absolutely just smooth water, none. There are little decisions that have to be made at intricate moments, and you have been able to kind of navigate those better than most. So that's definitely been helpful. The system itself is designed to take you through quickly, because that's what I do for a job every day with like high level athletes. But I think the biggest thing is communication. Like you're able to communicate and verbalize when you are in a good place, bad place. We can pull back, push forward when's necessary. And all those little decisions, I reckon, are the difference maker of you're at 5 months looking like probably you're at 9 months for general population. It's that big a difference, I think, in terms of those small decisions that you can communicate. And in terms of getting up to things like reactive agility, it's just progression. So people, I think, always want a number. You need to be able to attain X so that you can go and do this. Well, if we look at reactive agility, you need to accelerate, you need to decelerate, and you need to be in control of your body to be able to move laterally or change direction, right? If we do all of those things in isolation like we did, Well, there's no reason we can't start to piece those together. And we start by doing it with a slower entry speed, then we build into having a higher entry speed, then we add in the reactive components to it. There was a couple of reps that were looking a little bit kind of classic ACL-y, so trunk flexy, a bit of spill, which puts a little bit extra stress on the knee, which we clearly want to stay well away from. But if we just add in some constraints, some language, we sit down and we talk about it to say, okay, this is the goal here, then we can smash all of that together and actually come up with something that ends up looking like, after an hour's worth of work, like reactive agility, when previously it would have maybe taken 3-4 sessions to do each of those components in isolation. So it's communication, it's diligence, it's smart planning, it's good coaching, and it's actually listening to your system as an athlete and responding as a coach. And all of that combined shortens down your timelines and you're where you are.
I think for sure the communication aspect on both channels has to be really, really good. And I think that was probably the best part of the process, and is the best part of how both of us work, I guess, was sometimes you were asking me questions like, are you sure you're good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, you're like, I don't think you are. I think you're just bullshitting me. Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe I'm not actually, because I had to double check. And then you're like, no, we're going to pull back for a week and then we'll assess in a week how you feel. And it worked. And then the other thing that I think that led to shorter time frame, I guess, to return to run, return to sprint, return to decel, was knowing that, because I've been through it before and I go through it every day with athletes, not every day is going to be great, not every week is going to be great, but you just need to stick with it. Like, the only reason I would miss a session was generally work related. I was never not going to the gym because I didn't feel like it. And I think that is a pitfall for a lot of ACL clients, because they get sick of going to the gym.
Yeah, definitely. That's made me think about something. So people will see this story and they'll see the footage and they'll be like, bloody hell, how are you doing this at 5 months? And I would really strongly urge, if you're watching this and you've done your ACL, it's an individual journey. Do not compare yourself to other people. Like, you're where you are, brilliant, good for you. If you have aspirations or the ability to just be able to do 2 sessions a week, well, then this is going to be stretched out to, you're probably going to look like you at 8-9 months. Mm-hmm. If you have got a full-time job where you're on your feet all day and you have a family to feed and support, etc., you might look like Pete at 9-10 months. Looking at other people online and their journey and hearing perhaps me speaking about, this is our method, this is where we get athletes back to, we'll return you back from an ACL in 6.5 months, like that's the average timeline. It's only for the suitable person with the right lifestyle who can dedicate all that time to it. It's not just a blanket statement where it's like, okay, Karen, who's a mum of 3, who works all day, you can make it back in 6 months. Like, no, it's not realistic. So it's just recognizing that no rehab journey is a copy-paste template that just gets put on anybody. And it definitely does differ depending on lifestyle as well. So I think that's really important to mention when we're talking about all this stuff, because people take it out of context and then say, how is that feasible? That's nonsense. But it's all just individual.
And it's also comes back to the principle of, you can't expect outcomes that other people are achieving. But by the nature of doing that, you're comparing yourselves to them. But if you don't have the time to put in the work that I've done and you don't have the guidance, then it's not as likely that you're going to come back in the same time frame. So the whole point of this is to give people, I suppose, the confidence that they can, if they do the right things and reach out to the right people, and to probably change the narrative that we both know is prevalent in that, no, 9-12 months, 9-12 months, 9-12 months, not for everybody. But equally, what we're saying is 6-7 months, not for everybody as well. It's just case dependent. Last question before I let you go. Where do we go from here? And then off the top of your head, which is a very difficult question, I know, how are we going to get there? It's in the next block, the next 2 to 3 weeks.
All right. So let's do like a little brief summary of what's happened. You've walked in yesterday, we've done a hip screening, we know that your lateral hip, your inside hips are good, flexion extension needs work, so that's going to get feathered into the program. And this is the nice thing about screening, we can start to fit it into what's going on. We know from today's testing that we've still got a bit of work to do around quad strength generally, even though they're symmetrical, but when you've had multiple ACLs, one on one side, one on the other, then that's something we need to address longer term. We've got isolated hamstring strength and kind of reactive plyometrics, which is always going to be the later stage of the process. And then just watching you from a movement and kinematics perspective, there are still the classic hallmarks of, if you're going to get it wrong, you're going to flex and spill. You're going to be short on your toe off because you don't want to really push and extend. If you're going to decel, you might get a bit skippy when the reps aren't good. And then from just a longer kind of conditioning running perspective, you, again, very common with any kind of long-term injury or chronic injury, you want to flex and use that upper body to rotate. So we'll take all that information, smash it into a plan for the next 6 weeks. The biggest thing that's going to drive up your RSI for your drop jumps will be your quad strength in those specific angles. The biggest thing to drive up your tolerance to more on feet is going to be more drill-based on-feet work to prepare you and your plyos. And then we're going to target your little isolated muscular strength bits so that the body doesn't, and I think this is really important, it doesn't reroute round the path of least resistance, and then you end up getting an overload issue, especially when you do fast to fit, because the demands of the intensity is quite high, right? So that'll be all put together for 6 weeks. 2 weeks of a bit of a strength focus, 2 weeks of a bit of a transitional speed drill plyo focus, 2 weeks of building your conditioning and your volumes on feet. That'll leave you in a position to make the decision, am I ready to go back to training? Do I want to go back to training? What's the level of training I want to go back to? And then from there, that's it.
I think just what you touched on there as well, in the value in the in-person sessions, because both of us work kind of hybrid. So we'll do in-person and online. I think the main thing from coming over, and it reminds me of what athletes get when they come in to work with me, and probably same for you, is sometimes when you're training by yourself, you do a good rep and you do a bad rep, and you don't know why the good one was good and why the bad one was bad. 100%. But you could point out to me in the last couple of days, how'd that feel? And I was like, it didn't feel great. And you're like, yeah, you were doing this, you did this, I saw this. And so now when I know what not to do, I can go and focus on what I am to do going back. It's been enjoyable. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
And we'll plow on, I suppose, for the next 6 weeks.
6 weeks onwards, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.